Request permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Downtown Dawgs. I'm your host, Jimmy Rodgers. We're on the road, more like on the water. Here we are at Mountain Lake Stadium, Lake Washington, with Don Dow, Part 2, D2. Don, how you doing today?
You know, I'm always great when I'm at Husky Stadium.
Yeah.
Sitting on the boat.
Sitting on the boat.
Drinking a mimosa.
You can't beat that. Now, when I look at your boat, what's the name? Emily Lynn?
The Emily Lynn.
Named after?
Named after, actually, Kenny's daughter.
So name, image, likeness. Now, if you were playing in this day and age, do you think you'd get the kind of money for your name, image, or likeness? And by the way, I think image and likeness are almost the same word. But anyhow, do you think you would get the kind of funds to buy a boat like this?
No.
When you were a freshman and we were all waiting for some, car, and never happened?
Never happened. And I'm, I can't figure that part out. It just doesn't equate to me.
Yeah, it's going to really be crazy this year with the name, image, likeness. Name, image, likeness.
Name, image, likeness.
Now I'm leaving.
Something you and I have no concept of.
Yes.
Right? I mean, think about this. They patrolled what our off-season job was, our summer job was, to make sure we weren't getting benefits that were undue, like watching AstroTurf getting watered or something like that, right?
Right.
And now they're just paying them. But you know what? They don't have a choice. It's billions of dollars now, and either they pay them or the gravy train stops for everybody else.
So here's what I'm looking forward to, some equilibrium. What I mean by that is you're going to have an NFL-eligible quarterback. He's passed his junior year. He's making 1.5 in endorsements. He's told he's going to go in the NFL, a similar round that's going to equal 1.5 million.
Right.
So he has a choice to stay in college one more year, big fish in a little pond, make 1.5, or he can go to the NFL, little fish in a big pond, and make 1.5.
Stay in college.
Yeah.
And if you're in the Southeast, you get to go to Waffle House every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kid Valley.
Kid Valley here, Waffle House in the Southeast.
Did you?
I'm not sure if somebody put that little padded sort of thing on my head that I'd like that they practice with now, with a little padded thing on your head.
But the good news is we're avoiding CTE, hopefully,
yeah.
Right?
And for you and I, that's yet to be determined.
Basically, what Don and I are talking about is practices were more violent than the games on Saturday. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays were just extremely violent, and we've seen a lot of our teammates and kids around the country with the CTE. And Coach Peterson, I think, made the real monumental change at the University of Washington. First, he started teaching rugby tackling.
Yep.
And rugby tackling is when you put your head behind the ball carrier, back here,
Yep.
versus up here. You got it?
Right here, right?
Here.
Which is where you
here,
were.
Not here.
Because you used to knock the crap out of people.
Yeah, I did. That was fun, too, by the way.
I know. I kind of missed that.
I know, I do, too.
I was a headbutter. I'd just grab a hold of them and headbutt them and then slow them down.
Yeah, don't you love this time of year?
I do. I got to tell you, I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. I prepped last night, cooked a bunch of food and everything. I was so fired up, I couldn't wait to get over here on the boat and tie up here behind Husky Stadium. It's Disneyland is a happy place for a lot of people. This is my happy place.
Let's talk about Don James.
Don James.
Talk about the statue.
The statue. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Well,
no, really, thank you.
You paid for it.
Well,
I like to thank myself.
Myself and a lot of other guys.
A lot of teammates.
A lot of teammates, coaches, right? But, really, the way that you jumped in behind that effort and the way that similarly you jumped in behind the effort of the Orange Bowl team becoming Hall of Fame members, I would really appreciate it if you would jump behind the effort of the Iowa Rose Bowl team, Pac-10 champions, to also become Hall of Fame members, because I need a purple jacket, Jimmy.
It's a daunting task. It really is. You guys definitely deserve it, right? But
I'm sure you were on that team. You deserve a second jacket.
Wow, I didn't think of that. Yeah. I think we can do it.
I think we can do it.
This should be pretty easy, really.
This should be pretty easy?
No problem.
Just dust off that
Consider
file.
it done. Yeah, the problem is the University of Washington doesn't like to put a lot of teams in there unless they actually won a national title. So we didn't have the playoffs and with the 84 team, and we ended up tied for second, or we ended up second, I believe. We were first in some polls.
Right.
So that team that you're talking about, we finished what?
No idea.
No idea, but not national titles.
No, I mean we were ranked number one. What, 7 or 8 weeks of the season,
Yeah.
and then we had a little hiccup against Stanford, and then we had a bigger hiccup.
Excuse me, Don. That was Stanford with John Elway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's not your typical Stanford.
I'll never forget that game. Right. So
Tell me about it.
So first series, we receive the ball, we come out, we go 80 yards, score. You come back to the sideline, everybody goes, "Yeah, I got my guy, I got my guy, I got my guy." I'm like, piece of cake. This is gonna be a great day. Like 38 seconds later, we were tied, and we were going back out in the field. And it was just like that all day. It was a freaking shootout. And John Elway, who was, I hate to admit this, my recruit here, I was his host. And he was the only guy that Scott Fawcett and I didn't get that year. He did it to us.
And
The rest is history.
the rest is history. And John Elway recruited me at Stanford, and I ran into him about 20 years later in Los Angeles. And he said, "Did you commit to Stanford or not?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Yep, I'm about 0 for the world with recruits." So he didn't do a nice job recruiting, but I went to a camp at Stanford when I was a junior in high school, a defensive back camp. And when you're stretching out, you can always hear the coaches talking about whatever it was, but
Right.
you always picked up on it because you were quiet, you were stretching out, hamstring,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And they were talking about this kid named John Elway, who I think he had just signed a letter to Stanford. And they were talking about how he could throw the ball across his body 70 yards. He had the footwork of a tailback. And then we were victims to that.
He was the real deal.
Well, Don, it's official. You're the first downtown or Sailgate. You're the first Sailgate dog.
Sailgate dog.
Don, speaking of 99-year-old Marines, how many do you know?
Only one.
Who would that be?
That would be Milo Lude.
Greatest athletic director in the history of the University of Washington.
A student athlete shall not. How many times do we hear that? We would go into the Tubby Graves room, and once a year, our athletic director, Mike Lude, would come down and read us the regulations of what we shouldn't do or should do as part of the NCAA. And so my fondest memory, not fondest, but my clearest memory of Mike Lude is him saying, like, 2,000 times in my 5 years, a student athlete shall not, right? Yeah.
So you must have been upset when the Huskies got in trouble with the NCAA, with the Billy Joe Hobart situation, because we knew daily, we were reminded daily what not to do.
Exactly. But, you know, that's just one of those gray areas, right? Taking a loan and doing that. I mean, I don't know. You've got Heisman Trophy winners down in South Carolina, in Southern California. They're thinking that all of a sudden they should get their awards back because of the new rules.
So you're saying you're only as good as your opportunities, because I'm getting the impression you never got offered $50,000.
Not even $10.
The boat is not from the University of Washington.
No, and it's not my boat. It's Kenny and Scott's boat. I'm just in charge of food and beverage.
I thought it was your boat.
It's not my boat. It's their boat. I'm just in charge of food and beverage.
Well, let's try to call Mike Lude.
Okay, let's try to call him.
One ring. Dos. What's
James Rodgers.
Mr. Lude, you're on live with the Downtown Dawgs. We're actually sailgating, and we got Don Dow. And we just wanted to call. We were talking. I asked Don. I said, "Who's the greatest athletic director in the history of the University of Washington?" And Don said,
Mike Lude, of course. Actually, I said Milo, but
"Yeah." And I said, "Mr. Lude's the greatest athletic director of all time." So we're really kissing up here, and we're not asking for any money. We just want to say hello.
and Mike, hey Mike, great to hear from you. But here's one of my fondest memories of you, and I think I heard this line like maybe 2,000 times in 5 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. A student athlete shall not, because how many times do we read the manual?
Yeah.
Basically, don't take anything that's not yours.
Exactly.
Oh, you got guys are terrific. It's you make my day.
Yeah.
I'm having a great day watching a lot of football.
Do you have any predictions on the Washington-Montana game, Mr. Lude?
Well, I would be terribly disappointed if the Huskies didn't have a really great game.
And no injury-free, right?
That's right. That's right. I watched Michigan, and they're pretty good.
Yep. Should be quite a battle next week. We'll probably see you there.
Well, I'm going to be there.
Okay.
Outstanding. So Mike,
The athletic director at Michigan provided me with 6 Loge tickets and special parking, and asked me to be one of the 2 honorary captains for the game.
wow, fantastic.
That's the best news I've heard in a long time,
Yeah.
Mr. Lude. Well deserved.
Mike, are you gonna? Mike, will you be joining Carol anytime soon? Because of course my seats are right next to hers, but there's a rail in between us. Because I don't spend that money for the Don James Center.
My seats are right next to Carol.
Right. Well,
No, I'm not going to be there this week,
Right.
and certainly I'll be in Michigan next week.
Right.
We'll see how the weeks progress.
All
I
right.
definitely will be up for the Thanksgiving
Apple
week,
Cup. Yep.
and the Apple Cup.
Well, great. We'll look forward to seeing you then.
Now, Mr. Lude, one quick question. I'm kind of shocked that they invited you back and made you honorary captain, and they got you parking and probably got a buffet and all of that after that 1984 whooping that you gave them back when Bo was coaching and Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. Nope.
The athletic director in Michigan has been a long-time friend of mine.
What's his name again, Mr. Lude?
Ward Manuel.
Okay. Well,
Fantastic.
big up to Mr. Manuel, and you have a wonderful day, Mr. Lude. We all love you very much.
All right. Go.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the call.
Absolutely.
And Don, it's good to hear your voice.
Absolutely, Mike. Great to hear yours. Go Dogs, and thanks for everything.
All right. Go Dogs. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice. Perfect.
Woof. Say who? Say who?
Say dogs
Say
ain't.
who? Say who?
Say who? Say who? Say dogs ain't. Say who? Say who? You know, and they changed it.
Yeah.
They totally wimped
said
out on that.
They turned it into a song.
Say who? Say what? Say kiss my. Say who? Say dogs ain't. Say who? Say who? Right? Are we gonna have a downtown Dogs stand-up act soon? Because this has got legs. I think. Yeah.
Thursday. It was a dog event.
I had my Jimmy Rodgers
I really
Purple Sox.
appreciated that event. Can you tell everybody what it was about?
You know, it was so 101 Club is a club within the Washington Athletic Club that is in support of amateur athletics in the Seattle area. So if you go to the Husky football weight room, it's the 101 Club weight room. And weekly we have guests come in, and we're fairly Husky-centric, but it was a reunion and a celebration of the 91 national championship team. And we had Mark Bruner, Shane Palcoa, Chico Fraley, Dave Hoffman, Shane Palcoa.
that?
I did.
Dick Baird.
Dick Baird. And
Hosted by Matt Gastineau.
Gastineau actually just wrote a great book about that season and about the march to getting there, and Coach James. And it was really a great hour or so just kind of recapping what that season was about and the team and everything else. And you and I were sitting there, and a lot of stuff sounded really familiar in terms of that brotherhood and the focus and the flat-out determination to win and kick people's asses.
Each one of those guys were so impressive.
Yeah.
I'd never met any of them, let alone listen to them talk.
Yeah.
And each one of them were just phenomenal. I think the highlight of the event was Chico Fraley for me. How about you?
Yeah, Chico was he's just so cool. Articulate, but just precise, right? And you could see him playing the same way. Right. I mean, Shane, I see a lot. I see him here on the dock all the time for games. Dave, I've spent a little bit of time with him. Mark Bruner, I've never really.
Can you tell us the Mark Bruner story that he told?
I can't.
Thanks, Don. It's the Downtown Dawgs. This is our last show, by the way. We just lost every sponsor.
Every sponsor. Mark Bruner
told a story when he was 1 week out of high school, 18 years old.
So we used to have this, and they still do it. Maybe not to the extent that we did it, but picture day here at the University of Washington. You're in your full uniform, shoulder pads, the whole thing. And so Mark Bruner says all of a sudden this family comes up to him.
Mark Bruner was 18 years old, 1 week, 2 weeks out of high school.
Yeah, tight end.
Never caught a pass.
Never
saw the field.
No, never seen the field.
Should I keep interrupting you? Or?
Yeah, well,
go with it.
Somebody's going to tell the story. It might as well be you. And so literally this family comes up and they got like 15 visors and they're like, "Would you sign these for us?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." So he signs all these visors, and as they're walking away, they say, "We just got Mark Brunell's autograph on 15 visors," because they were thinking he was the quarterback and not the tight end. So classic.
Great classic story. Don Dowd, Jimmy Rodgers, sailgating on the Emily Lynn.
On the Emily Lynn at Husky Harbor.
At Husky Harbor. Thank you.
That's what we call this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyhow, it's 2 days, and fatigued, beat up, tired, and we're stretching out, getting ready for the second day's practice, and the guys were working on the deck. And one of the guys in charge of the rest of the employees, lunch break, and the guys kept hammering away and kept working, lunch break, and they kept hammering away. I don't think they could hear them because nobody ignores lunch break.
Right.
And then Ray Caddage screamed out, lunch break! And they all quit, and we all started laughing.
That's funny.
Maybe not so funny.
No, that's funny.
It is funny.
That
Simple.
is funny. Yeah, one of the things I remember about in between practices and training camp, you remember when we had those tape balls and like a bat. It was kind of like wiffle ball, but we'd be in Heck Ed, and we would play these. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was kind of like somebody threw BP and everybody stood out in the far reaches of Heck Ed waiting to catch the tape ball. Mm-hmm. But it's the things you do to while away the time before you get up in the morning, you have breakfast, you get taped, you go out and practice, you come back, you have lunch, and then you got like 3-4 hours before you're doing it again. Then you got to go in and get taped and go out to practice and do all that again. I just remember these funny, not wiffle, but tape ball games in Heck Ed.
The food was great. And it doesn't compare. I think they get El Gaucho now.
They do get El Gaucho now. They don't make them walk down to the crew house because that's too stressful.
We don't want to stress them out. But the food was so good, we had a name for every entree, a day for every entree.
Yeah.
Was Monday meatloaf?
I don't remember that, but I do remember.
Tuesday T-bone or tacos?
Friday was T-bone.
Friday T-bone.
Friday night before a game.
Taco.
T-bone. Oh yeah, no, it was, and it was great and legendary sort of food.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the freshmen would have to walk up to the dorms after 2 very difficult practices.
Absolutely, walk their happy selves up to the dorms.
Even if you're injured.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Man up.
Couldn't get a ride.
Next man up.
One of my teammates was telling me he was on crutches and he had to make that walk, and Coach Roberts was leaving, Coach Al, and he slowed down to give him a ride, and NCAA rules
Right.
wouldn't give him a ride to the top of the hill.
Yep. Too much of a benefit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.